So Carol lands on Earth. Well, she hits Earth, literally. And this is just, again, it's not stupid. It's just all the little consistent, inane, ridiculous, incompetent writing that just makes this movie just so ridiculous. It's like she falls from the sky, crashes into the Blockbuster, fires an energy beam at, I don't even care what stand, I think it was the True Lies one. And then she goes out and there's a security guard who's just sitting like an idiot in the car. It's like, do they not have car radios that he would have called police? Well, yes, he does, because eventually he ends up calling S.H.I.E.L.D. But the entire time he's just kind of like, and then she goes up to him and it's like, is this C-53? Like, what am I supposed to say? You sank my battleship? It's like, C-53, 420, and then it's like, is my universal translator working? Wait a minute, you have a universal translator? Didn't seem to work when you were on, Torfa, talking to the villagers because, everybody's kind of like, everybody stay still, and they're all yelling in some unknown language. If you have a universal translator, shouldn't you have been able to understand what they were saying? Hell no, what the hell do the writers know? They don't know what they're doing. And then it's like, do you have like a communication center? And he points to like a Radio Shack. And it's like, ooh, Radio Shack. Remember Radio Shack? Look at all the references that we're doing. That's all that scene was. And then we get the 4 Kree. Out of the entire ship, apparently only 4 Kree survived. And they land, and they come out of the water. Why in the name of God would they land in the water? Why wouldn't they land on dry land? I mean, what was the purpose of the scene? So that they could impersonate surfers? Like, what is that even? What would have been what was the purpose of that? Oh, and then we go, oh God. So she's in the Radio Shack, and she MacGyvers her okay, it's not her comm, I guess it's her gauntlet. I'll just call it a gauntlet. She MacGyvers her gauntlet with parts from a Game Boy? How would she be able to do this? How would she know to be able to do this? How did she know that? How would she have been able to figure out that the parts from the Game Boy would have even worked? But it's like, oh look, a Game Boy reference. That's the whole point of the scene. No matter how stupid it was like, look at the Game Boy reference. That's all you're supposed to care about. And again, that's all you did. The fact that what she did was absolutely ridiculous, absolutely stupid, went right over your head, because all you cared about, like good little Marvel zombie fanboys, all you cared about was what the movie wanted you to care about. Look at the little Game Boy reference. Don't care about how stupid everything is. Goddamn idiots. And then she hacks into a payphone to make a long-distance intergalactic phone call. And this isn't played for laughs. This is serious. This is played as serious, and because she needs to talk to Jan Rog. So this is actually not played for laughs. This is played as serious. So now the call could have gone pretty much indefinitely because she hacked into the phone. Why would there be a problem? So they had to find a way to have the scene, or to have the call be canceled. Because again, Jan Rog is like, I'm losing you. Again, this is all played for serious. So there's a recorded message of, you need a long distance access code is required for the number that she dialed. Well, if a long distance access code number is required, how did she make the call in the first place? And if she did use the access code to make the call, why would there be a recording saying she needs the access code? No matter how you look at it, the whole recorded message makes zero sense. But they needed some way to end the call. And that. And then S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up. Okay. So, when Carol hits the earth, because that's all she did. She didn't really land, she just hit it. She hits the earth, it's nighttime. Okay? By the time she makes the phone call, it's daylight. Now, I know that the writers didn't even pay attention or even care. I know that. But the problem is, here's what ends up happening, and you as an audience really didn't even care. But unfortunately, those of us that actually have, you know, a pulse and brainwave patterns while watching the movie go, so let me see if I get this straight. She lands at nighttime. By the time she makes the phone call, it's daytime, and that's when S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up. So what? The security guard called S.H.I.E.L.D., and it took them, 4 hours to show up? Hoping that she was still going to be hanging around? And then you have that one Skrull come in, shoot him, and then all of a sudden, oh look, action scene. Again, the whole conversation with Fury and Carol was just, I mean, I could go through it, but it's like, you know what? I don't even want to waste my time on how just inane the conversation is, and oh my, eventually we're going to get to it, but this forced bonding between Carol and Fury was just so. So then, Carol chases the Skrull to a subway platform, and so as the Skrull is going into the subway car, an old lady comes out, and there's like a second or two spent, so that way you, the audience, okay, go, oh look, the Skrull sees this old lady. This is the old lady that he's gonna transform into from in the trailer. So then the next scene is Carol coming up, and she bumps into the same old lady, and a second or two is spent so that you, the audience, can go, oh, Carol now sees the old lady, so now, because in the trailer we saw that it was the old lady, this is how Carol was able to identify that the old lady was really the Skrull. You know what I love about this scene? Is that the movie knows that it has to spell everything out for you as an audience, nice and slow and simple, because otherwise you would have had no idea what the hell was going on. But here's the problem about this scene, is that the Skrull sees Carol interacting with the old lady. So now here's the brilliant plan of the Skrull. I'm going to impersonate the only person in the subway car that Carol already saw. Therefore, when she comes into the subway car, she will automatically know I'm the Skrull, because I'm impersonating the only person she stopped to recognize. I mean, it's just, like if the Skrull had not seen her, see the old lady, fine. I mean, I don't know why they couldn't have just done that. But again, the writing is so incompetent, they needed to have a scene where Carol sees the Skrull, and to do that, you'd have to have the Skrull be visible enough to see Carol. That's how she's able to know, oh, the Skrull is in the subway car. So then she catches up. So then there's that fight scene, and the Ninja Turtle moves all over the place. And so a couple of guys end up holding back Carol. Carol is like being held back, and she's literally just standing there, like quite literally. What's the word I'm looking for? Oblivious to all the men literally just struggling, not even really holding her, just kind of like, we're struggling, and she's like oblivious to it. She stands there pretending to be held back so that the Skrull can get up and flee. Once the Skrull gets up and flees, that's when Carol just kind of goes, knocks him off. She could have knocked him off at any time, but the story needed the Skrull to be able to flee, so you had to have Brie Larson, the actress, just standing there, just for the sake of standing there. And then she goes forward, and it's in between the subway cars. I don't know what that section's called. Now, so the Skrull, instead of escaping, is actually stays in between the sections, waiting for Carol to catch up to him, so that he can stand up, transform back into his original skull. Meanwhile, Carol, who wants to actually capture this guy, is just standing there waiting for him to do all this stuff. Okay? This is how pathetic this is. She's supposed to be trying to catch him, but no. Watch the pretty little transformation, little fanboys. Pay attention to how cool the transformation is. Ignore the stupid necessary for this scene to happen. So Carol is standing there as he reverts back to his original Skrull form, and then changes into another human form for no goddamn reason. Why would he need to transform back into a human? It's not like she didn't realize. It's like, oh my God, where did the Skrull go? There's another. So then, once he does all that transformation, then he decides to escape. That's when Carol goes, oh, that's my cue. Time to follow him. And then we get that whole. Then we get the Agent Coulson scene where he's at the parking lot going, where is everybody? Wait a minute. When did the Skrull have a chance to impersonate Coulson? Because when Fury and Coulson show up, Coulson never leaves the scene. So when did the Skrull have any chance to become Coulson? And this is how dumb you are. I actually had people, okay, more than one, but not a lot, go, oh, that's easy. Remember how the Skrull impersonated his boss? I can't remember his name. Well, he obviously had one of his Skrulls impersonate Coulson the entire time. So, Coulson was a Skrull the entire time, right? then how did the real Colston show up? Where did the real Colston come from? If the Colston that was in the car was actually a Skrull, then the real Colston would have never been anywhere near the scene. This is how stupid you are. Even when you try to explain how it works, it just reveals how even more idiotic you are and how brain dead you are. It's mind-boggling. It really is. And I can't remember, I have it written down that after Fury sees the dead Skrull, flashes it, again, there's a scene, and anyway, the point is, he flashes his badge and goes, "S.H.I.E.L.D. business, stay back." This scene fails for two reasons. Okay? One, it's 1989. Okay? They never refer to themselves as S.H.I.E.L.D. until 2008 in the Iron Man movie. So, how you missed that is beyond me. Which leads me to believe that any type of continuity that matches up had to be absolute fluke and chance. Because if they didn't even know this continuity aspect of the MCU, then there's no way the writers knew any of the other continuity. But again, all these scenes that by sheer chance just happen to fit in, there's no way the writers did this purposely, okay? It was by pure fluke, because you do not screw up the S.H.I.E.L.D. one, but somehow catch every other continuity. Screw you. Here's the second reason it failed. It was the perfect attempt at a callback and a humorous line, because if he had said, Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division, okay? That would have been a callback to Iron Man. And it would have been funny because inadvertently it would have established they've been saying Strategic Homeland Intervention and Enforcement Logistics Division for 6 years. They've been saying it that way. That would have been the joke. But so their attempt at actually trying to be funny fails, because that was one of the easiest setups that existed in this movie. Anyway, I'm done this part.